Hello and welcome to another episode of Blender. Okay, in this video I will be showing you how to set up the generators in the asset browser as I discussed in the previous video. Alright, so before I go ahead, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and watch till the end and don't miss any steps. So in order to get this thing work, first we need to go to the website. Okay, this is the address, and you can come here and click on the download button so you can download in order to access all of these different generators. All right, so once you download it, you can place anywhere on your computer. Okay, so this is where I have put it, and Blender generators, and these are all the files inside. All right, so now coming back into the Blender application. Okay, so before I bring up the asset browser, we need to add this location wherever you have placed the folders. Okay, so coming back to Blender, so we need to add that location in the preferences. So go edit, preferences, and then come to the file path. All right, if we have something else selected, we can click on file paths. All right, and then asset libraries. This is the place where you have to add it. I've already added mine, but in any case, the way you add it, you click on this plus sign and then it will ask the location. Okay, and then you can browse to the location wherever it is. Let's say I will select this location, add to asset library. Okay, and then you can give a name that reminds you what kind of generator or assets are located. All right, and after this, when you open up your asset library, click on this and select asset browser, or you can use shift F1. Okay, so it's showing the current file. There's nothing in the current file, and then this is the one we just created. So let me click this, and then even though if I show you the folder structure, even though I selected this folder Blender, but it is smart enough to identify and go deep in the folder structure to find our generators. All right, so now step one we have completed. Sorry, two steps. First we downloaded it from the website and placed in a location that we know. Okay, and then with that knowledge of location, we have added into our preferences. Okay, under the file path with the plus icon. Now how to set this up? As I explained in the previous video, that when you click and drag, we cannot place it in the, or we cannot add it to the scene because of the icon over here that is representing that it is a geometry node editor icon. So we need to get this icon. How we can do it? So in order to get this thing work, what we need to do is right click and click on open blend file. Okay, so it will open the exact file. So once it's open, for example, what we will do is, this is the node editor window, so we need to change this to asset browser. Okay, so it is showing current file. What I need to do is right click on this. So this is what we have access to in our asset library. So right click and say clear asset. So we don't have anything. All right, now we're going to create an asset, and this is how we do it. So select this. Okay, so this is selected and it is highlighted in our collection area. So right click and say mark as an asset. Once you do it, it appears over here. Okay, with the updated icon, that's all good. For some reason, if you don't see the icon, okay, so what you do is you select it and you click on this icon. All right, and then from here you can open the folder and you can select a custom preview, which comes with the download. If you open this folder, you can see the icons folder. So this is where all of these are. Okay, but for us this time it has created automatically, so that is good. So we can click this to close. And now once this is done, you can see this is the icon we were looking for. So all we have to do is save this file. Just click file and save, and then we can close it. Okay, and now we come back to our asset browser. As you can see, this is already changed, and when we click and drag, you can see it is allowing us to pick a location and drop it to bring it into the scene, and we have successfully added this to our scene. So this was the whole process. If you did not understand, no problem, you can go back and watch it again, the steps, and hopefully you can get it to work for yourself. So thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Okay, how dare you want to learn this effect in Blender? Alright, so here we are. We will be learning how to create this effect in Blender. So I hope you will enjoy it. Let's go to Blender and let's start working on this effect. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another episode. This time we will be learning how to create the comic focus effect that you have seen in the thumbnail. Okay, so the way we will be doing it, let me expand this and I will open up the asset browser, and let me change from the current file to the generators, and let me bring this in. Oh, I cannot bring this in. Fine, so right click and open blend file. Let this open. So it's open already. What I need to do is, should I create this? If I open the asset browser, so this is the one. If I right click and say clear asset, let's make this so that we can access from the asset browser. I'll select this, right click and say, let's click on mark as asset. Okay, so as you can see, I don't have any preview. In order to get the preview, click this. When it's selected, we need to click this icon here, and then this is the preview window. We don't have any preview. Let's try to refresh. No preview, no problem. We can open a custom preview. So it comes with the package. So let's select this one. Okay, so we can close this and we can save the file. Save the file and we can close this. Back here, now if I click, so I can just select all of these and just delete. click and drag and drop, and yes, so I can just put this out. So now coming back to the topic, in order to create that comic effect, comic focus effect. Okay, so let's open up our window. Let me expand this and change this from 3D viewport to geometry node editor. Okay, let me press N to close this. Let's zoom in and let's see what is happening. At the moment, this is the particle flow and this is how it is. Let's come inside and let's go to the settings. And as you can see, I can increase the speed, rotation, all of that. So if I reduce the speed, okay, fine. So now, as you can see, these are all bunch of spheres. So let's take a look in our node editor, geometry node editor, what is happening here. Okay, this is the one we need to change. So this is the sphere that it is using. Okay, so what we can do is Shift A and let's bring in the mesh primitive cube. Okay, so I'll just click and let's take this out. So we don't want the sphere, and bring this over here. And then take this mesh, connect this screen with this green dot. Okay, so we can see our spheres, but it's all bunch of spheres in a huge size. As you can see, 100 centimeter, that's way too much. So let's reduce it by 1. Okay, and let's reduce it further. Click and drag, and let's say if I use 0.001, don't see anything. Okay, let's use 0.1. Okay, so now we are getting there. Okay, so if we take the X, which is the X axis here, the red one, that if we take and just increase the effect, and now if I can bring in the camera, let's create a camera, and let's go to the camera view and press N on the keyboard and go to view and select camera to view. Okay, now I can adjust the camera just like my perspective. Just zoom in, and we are already, you can see we are almost getting there. Okay, select this and we can play with this. Yeah, and now what we can do is give it a material. All right, the material that we need to give is, if I come over here, and at the moment it's using water material. Okay, we need to remove this and I'll create a new material. Let's give it a name, say black. All right, and then we can change the color all the way to black. Fine. Okay, and if we check the material preview, it's not black, it's still using the water material. Why? If I change this black to say something pink, okay, and you don't see any pink. This is not using this finish. Okay, we need to change it. Fine. So over here, go and search, Shift A, search, type set material and click it. Okay. So now instead of this going to the output, we can take the connection and connect it to the geometry, geometry to the geometry, and you can disconnect it and then connect this one to the geometry. And now this is using some standard gray. Oh, we need to assign our finish black. Click, and now this is finally black finish. Okay, and now the cool part that we need to do is we can select this and we can play with the settings here. Okay, and let's bring in our image. Okay, let's bring in the image. I will go to the top view and let's create a plane. And let's rotate the plane, or X, and then press 90 degrees, and then rotate again around the Z axis, type 90, and I can move this back in front of the camera, press G and Z to bring this up. Fine. So this one I will be giving the material. So let's change this to the image. Sorry, shader. Okay, so we will give this a new shader. Click new, and I will import the image. Click and drag, and now if I connect this to the base color, ta-da! So if we go to the camera view and reduce the size, okay, let's check the render. Okay, we need to adjust it, and it's not transparent. Fine, we need to adjust it. And let's reduce the size somewhere here, and let's adjust our camera maybe to the center and adjust this as well. And we need to bring in the alpha. Okay, so let's connect the alpha to the alpha. Still no transparency. Okay, let's come over here to the blend mode and select alpha blend. And now if I render, now you can see I'm getting it. I just need a white background. Okay, so the way in order to get that effect, okay, so this is the background. I just need to use a color, and the color is full white. Okay, for the background. And now if I render and check, ta-da! So we can now play with the focus line. So let's come over here, and then we can adjust it. We can adjust the length of it. We can come back to the geometry node and over here. So we can increase this. as you can see, was way too much. And what we can do is give it variation from here, and then you get the idea. Okay, so if we render this as an animation, that can be done. Cool, ta-da! And if we render the image, but this is not the best way if you have still images, so this is not good. Maybe we can have this much cut out. So the best way to do this in the image editing program, so let's do it. This is inside, this is good for if you're animating within the application. Okay, so I can just move this on the side just a little bit and maybe push it back, okay, in the x-axis. So we have some more, and I can increase the density, perhaps something like this, and move this again in the x-axis. Yeah, so you get the idea. And now let me hide this, or say do not render. So if I render, okay, let's take this to the image editing program. I will save the image. Okay, it's called BG. Save as. Okay, now it's loaded. The first thing I need to do is go to add some contrast to this image. Okay, so this is the way I will be adding some contrast. Okay, yeah, I will apply the same effect again. So as you can see, there are some artifacts. So if we do this, we will get black, completely black, and white, more white. Okay, let's Control E to merge down, and let me import or bring in our image. Okay, so I'm gonna take this image in here, insert as a new layer. Fine, and then I will move this. And then scale it. Scale it. Okay, scale it more further. Okay. So now this is perfect. What we can do is, as you can see, what we need to do is get the transparency out of this image. So if I select, go to filter, colors, color to alpha, and let's pick the white. Color sample is white, so it has already taken white and given us the alpha. And now I can create an empty layer, and then let's put this layer here, and we will give this layer a white color. So Control backspace. Okay, I hope this is perfect. White, full white, white, and then this is the comic effect, and then here this I can bring it down. Okay, so this is how we can achieve it in the image editing program. I am using Krita. So in any photo editing application, you can easily achieve this. So This is another method, and this is much better to do this in the photo editing program. I hope you liked it, and give me your thoughts on this in the comments, and let me know how helpful it was, and see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Ta-ta! Hello and welcome to the forest atmosphere. Basically, we'll be learning how to add variety of trees, and this is what we will try to achieve, just to give a nice touch to end the video. Yeah. Okay, so let's go and then start the process. And while I'm starting the process, you can start to hit the like and subscribe button. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Okay, this is a new scene. I'll go to my top view, and then I will select this. This is selected already. Let's delete this cube, and I will create a plane, mesh plane, and then I will press N on my keyboard, and let's adjust the width, maybe somewhere around 1500, and then this can be, and we can further adjust this later on. Okay, so the first thing I would like to apply is the texture for this ground plane, and the texture that I am using is from this Polyheaven website. This is the one I'm using. I have downloaded it already, and it's right here. I've taken the diffuse displacement and the normal map. Okay, and let me expand this and bring up my shading editor. So let's create a new material. Okay, so what I will be using is the Node Wrangler, which comes with Blender, so you should be using it. And if you don't have it enabled, so you can go to preferences, go to add-ons, and type node is enough, and this is where you will get it, and just click the check mark, and it should be working. And the way I will use this is select this. Okay, this should be selected, and I will press, I believe, Control Shift T, and then I will browse to the location. Okay, I'll select all of my textures. All right, and let's click Principal Texture Setup. So let me just expand this. So as you can see, all of my setup is done automatically. It added 3 different texture nodes and connected it with the displacement to the displacement output, and it has also given me the mapping control. Okay, so it should be updated here. Let's check the material preview. Okay, so we need to adjust the parameter. Okay, so let's come over here and let's check the scale. We can click and drag and actually give a value 2, so it will adjust it all the values at the same time. Okay, so the texture is complete. Now let me check the displacement. All right, first let me see the displacement. So let's go to the modifier properties. The displacement is on and I don't see it. So let me give some subdivision modifier, subdivision surface, and if we increase, nothing happens. No problem. Okay, keep the render value high, no problem. I can keep this here. I don't want this thing turning into a circle, so let's select the simple option. Okay, and while this plane is selected, let's go to the materials tab and scroll down. I don't like this. We have to enable this displacement. If we have given the displacement in the materials, the properties for displacement, it should work without selecting an additional option. If I turn on the rendering, viewport rendering, okay, as you can see the detail, but we don't see the displacement. Okay, so let's come into our materials tab. We need to change the renderer from Eevee to cycles. Okay, something has been updated. Fine, so let's come back down here and see if we have the displacement option. Oh, displacement, yes. Can I expand this? Sorry, let's expand this out a little bit. The whole thing, yeah. It's getting cluttered a little bit. Okay, so we come down here, we have the displacement option. So this displacement option was not available when we had Eevee selected. Okay, so let's say if I select Eevee back and go back to the materials, I don't see the displacement. Strange, huh? So Eevee don't support it yet, maybe. Okay, so cycles, come to the materials tab, and then here's the displacement. So the settings that I am looking for, displacement, it says bump only. I don't understand why. It should say displacement, should be displacement. I don't know, there must be some reason. Let's say displacement and bump. Okay, something just happened. All right, so now all we need is we need to add more information to our plane. So if I give it more subdivision, you can see the displacement. Okay, fine. So we don't want to use the high values in the viewport, but we can increase it for our render. But in order to adjust the camera, I don't mind increasing it. Okay, it looks messy. Okay, let's try another option. It's looking a bit messy. So let's go back to the renderer option and select the experimental. Once we do the experimental, we have this adaptive subdivision. So it will do more subdivision. And now as you can see, the result is much better. Wow. Okay, the result is looking more realistic compared to that choppy, blocky stuff. Okay, so let's turn on this adaptive subdivision and let's adjust the camera somewhere here. We can adjust it later as well. Okay, so coming back to our material, I don't want this a lot of shine in the metallic surface. Let me just reduce it. We will adjust when we do our lighting. Okay, fine. So now we can move to the next stage, and that is to bring, okay, let me go forward, and we will adjust the camera later when we bring in our trees and set it up more. Okay, So let's go and bring in, so I will change this back to the material preview. Okay, and now we can go and start to bring in our tree. Okay, so we will change this from the shader editor to the asset browser. Okay, I can turn this off. Let's select, instead of current file, generators, and I have created a video already how to set up these generators for the asset browser. All right, so the link will be in the description somewhere. I'll click and drag and drop. Okay, this is not good. I will go to my front view and bring this down. Select and press G. Bring this down to the Z axis somewhere here. And let's open up the geometry node editor so we can see. And I'll expand this. Okay. All right, so this looks very intimidating. There's a lot of stuff is happening. And how we can adjust the properties of the tree. So if I select this and duplicate, for example, Shift D, and I will stick to the y-axis. Okay, and then if I want to adjust any value, let's say this is one set of branch, lower branch, and this is upper level branch, the tiny branches that you see. And then we have leaves, how many leaves we want. If I reduce the amount, you can see it's reducing it, and it's actually changing for both of them. So in some cases we don't want this, and in some cases maybe we want it to have the, so it's acting like as an instance. All right, so how we can make this unique, I will show you in a moment. All right, so the way we can make it unique is this group input here. This is where we need to connect any value we want to make it unique. So it will help us in two ways. Number one, of course, it will, so let me just do it first. So this is the connector here point. You can select this, click and drag, and take it all the way and connect it here. Once we do it, it will be unique and it will appear here in the modify panel. You can see amount. If I adjust from here, so it is only doing it for the selected tree, and we can no longer edit the value from here. As you can see, we don't have the option to change the amount. We can do only from here. Now the good thing is any attribute that I want to bring here in this panel will become easy to access, and at the same time will be unique, and that will be happening for all the trees. So for example, if I add different attributes over here, let's say the branch, this is the starting point, okay, where the branch are starting. So let me adjust, you'll see what this value is doing. Okay, but this is happening for both, so I want to make this unique. So I'll select this and connect this to my group input, so it appears here. So when I change it, it is unique and easy to access, and at the same time it is also added for the other tree, but keeping the value that is unique for the tree. Okay, so this is really good. So anytime if we duplicate a tree and then If you want to make a certain value unique, we can do it. All right, now the question is, you can see these namings are same. Noise scale, middle height, end height, and the amount. So how we can adjust it? So for example, if I take this and bring it over here, so we have two amount. We don't know what this amount do unless we change the value. Okay, so this is the amount of branches, I think, for the upper level. And let me bring one more, this one. So we have three amounts now, and this is the amount of height. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the height, how close it is, squeezed. All right, so we now know this is the distance. So how we can change the name of these? That's the good question. So let's select this node. All right, and we can press N on our keyboard. So in order to get to the naming, window, we can click on the group, and it will show all of the listed attributes. So we can double click and change. So if this is the one that is adjusting the distance, so we can just give a name, double click, anything that you can remember for yourself. All right, and this amount is the amount of branches. Okay, upper level branches. Okay, branch. And then this start, what is this start doing? This is the starting point, that is fine. And this is the amount of leaves. So we can